In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Megan Owen-Evans, the president of Neptune Terminals in North Vancouver. Megan, welcome.
Thank you, Stu. Happy to be here.
What is the president of a terminal that is exporting metallurgical coal and potash? What does your job look like?
It is very dynamic. I've been in the role for about 6 months, so my job has largely been drinking through a firehouse for 6 months, but it's exciting. We have a small footprint in the Port of Vancouver, and we maximize every square foot for our shareholders and try to move as much coal and potash as possible. Between the two products, we're moving about 24 million tons of product a year, so the terminal is hustling and bustling nonstop, and my job is really about strategy and higher level of relationships, figuring out with our shareholders how we optimize their supply chains and make sure we're reliable and ready to go when they need us.
You mentioned supply chains. I can only imagine how diverse and complicated they must be.
They are. I mean, clearly potash, coal coming from very different regions, and we've got strong teams both at the terminal and within Campotex and Tech that drive those trains to terminal and organize the vessels to make sure that we're ready to put the right product on the right vessel at the right time.
One of your bottlenecks must be that rail bridge across the Second Narrows.
It is always a topic of conversation, yes. Access to the North Shore is challenging. I know there's a lot of people at high levels discussing how we make that better, but it continues to be a challenge.
And those are the kinds of strategic issues that you need to be focused on.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on right now with active vessel traffic management and different initiatives, but the rail bridge continues to be a large topic of conversation and how it's not a simple problem to resolve.
And so how many different authorities and jurisdictions do you have to then interact with?
Oh, great question. A lot. I mean, we deal with Metro Vancouver. We're in the city of Vancouver, so we obviously have dealings with the city of Vancouver, Port of Vancouver. We're on leased land for the Port of Vancouver. Department of Fisheries and Oceans, depending on what kind of work we're doing. There's quite a few.
Wow. So what does an average day look like for you?
I don't think there is an average day. At least not in my first 6 months. I mean, there's a lot of days where it's meeting with different, individuals within my team. I've been really focused upon getting to know my team. It's a large team. I mean, the actual staff is about 100, but if you look at including union, we're over 300 on any given day. So I at times I'm out on site trying to better understand what's going on and what different jobs involve. I really like to know from the ground floor what people are doing and why and how they're liking their job and what their pros and cons are.
So it's an awful lot of interaction.
It is, and that's what I love about it, to be frank.
Is it long days?
It can be very long days, absolutely. I mean, there's also the social and networking aspect, so there's sometimes galas and dinners and things that are great and fun, but they do make for some long days.
5 days a week? Are you able to limit it to 5 days a week?
No, I mean 5 days in the office a week, but certainly, the phone and emails and whatnot are, when you need to work, you need to work, but it's an element of my job I love.
Right. When you're in that position, how many staff do you, or members of the Neptune Terminals team are there whose responsibility is like their employment, that you're keeping the company moving in the right direction? Like, they become your responsibility. How many people are you reporting to?
Well, so reporting up through to me, directly or indirectly, is right around the 100 mark.
Wow.
And then, like I said, there's also ILWU 500 and 514 on site, and the 514 complement is, I think, close to 90. Yeah. And 500 is more dispatched labor, so that number can change depending on what, ships are at the berth and what trains we're unloading on any given day.
So let's go back to an earlier part of your career. You're graduating from high school.
Oh, wow.
Are you thinking one day, yes, I want to be the president of a terminal on the waterfront in the North Shore? What were you thinking when you graduated from school would be your academic pursuit and thus your career?
It certainly never crossed my mind. When I graduated from high school, I had aspirations of being a doctor and before accepting going to UBC, I decided I probably wasn't going to take my schooling seriously enough at 17 years of age, so I decided to go to Capilano College instead. I won't go too far down that path, but I didn't end up finishing my education at that point in time. I went back at a later date and got my business degree, but I was already well immersed in my career at that point.
What were you doing then? Like, so you put your education on hold. What work did you go into?
I just did a number of different jobs. So I worked seasonally for the Greater Vancouver Regional District. Great fun job when you're 20 years old.
Yeah.
But I realized that in the off season I was constantly looking for work, and so I got my occupational first aid level 3, which I knew would help me get in the door at some places. And my dad suggested I go put applications in around the waterfront. And I did, and I got called by what was then Alberta Wheat Pool 3 years after I had applied. I had forgotten I'd even applied, and I got the phone call.
And what was that job?
That was a general laborer. So I started sweeping floors and shoveling grain, and that's how it all began.
And is it after that that you then went back to school?
I went back to school about 10 years later.
To study business.
That's right. Viterra sponsored my education. So they said, we think you should continue what you started and get your business degree. And so I did while I was working.
So you had a supportive employer.
A very, very supportive.
And you went back to work for them.
I did. Well, I was, as a laborer, I was with, they were not yet then Viterra, but over a course of different acquisitions became Viterra. I was 10 years in the union, so doing various jobs from laboring through the plant. And then I was promoted when Viterra was formed. I was promoted into an operations supervisor job and into management.
Okay, where'd your career go from there?
I went back to school, and upon completion of my BBA at SFU, I was offered the role of operations manager at Pacific Terminal, which was one of 2 terminals that Viterra owned. I did that job for a number of years before being offered the role of general manager back at Cascadia, which is a joint venture, actually, of Viterra and Richardson International.
Wow. So you're on the waterfront, of course, because you've worked your way right from the ground floor up.
Literally.
You get to know the inner workings of this. But you ultimately left there and then went into the wood fiber business, did you not?
Yeah, so in 2000, I was approached by Fiberco for a role as president there. I was in my 40s, and I felt like I'd been in the grain business for 23 years, and if I was going to make a change, it was time to do so. I really connected with their board and the BC family-owned businesses that own Fiberco, and felt like it would be a great move for me, and so I made the jump over to Fiberco for a little over 3 years.
And you got recruited away.
I did. I did. Fiberco was a great learning experience for me, and we had some interesting things go on soon after I started with a silo collapse and subsequent rebuild of a terminal. But I learned a great deal, and like I said, the board was great. The owners and shareholders are great, and I had a fabulous team. So I think it really positioned me well for the move to Neptune when I was approached.
So, all of that experience, how invaluable is it to you in your current role? Because I get the sense that from everything that you told me that you understand every aspect of what it's like on the waterfront running a terminal.
I can't speak enough to. I mean, I know as somebody who does hiring myself that education is highly valued by people, but I think experience is so valuable, because having been a laborer and worked through that and been a member of a union, I think I have a better appreciation for those dynamics. And I think that the people that I talk to out on site understand that I came from that and have more of a respect, because they feel that I'm speaking genuinely and I can see their point of view. So
what do you think is that remarkable personal attribute that you have that has given you the ability to continue to grow in every position that you've been in, to wind up in the position that you're in now?
I guess it's belief in myself. I think my parents just always instilled in me that you can do whatever you believe you can do. And on top of that, I can't take all the credit. I think I've had some amazing mentorship along the way, and people that told me they believed in me, and that can make a huge difference in somebody's career as well.
I think that you have mentors because you have good interpersonal skills as well, though. You must.
Well, I mean, I hope that that's the case. I think so. I
Yeah.
feel as though communication and being able to connect with people is critical in that as well.
It's a great career.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm, like I said, I'm loving it, and I'm very appreciative for where I am today.
Well, thank you for giving us a little glimpse into your day-to-day life, and of course the career path that you followed to get there. And I think that you are a perfect demonstration of the fact that you never know what's ahead of you, but what's important is that you keep moving forward with an eye on just continual improvement.
Absolutely agree with you. I would never have envisioned this being my career, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you for having me today.